purpose of the R25 is to support educational activities with a primary focus on short-term research experiences designed to ensure that participants receive exposure to the scientific and operational principles underlying each step of the translational process. The ultimate goal is that participants apply these principles to clinical and translational science research areas such as preclinical research, clinical research, clinical implementation, and public health. The proposed research experiences should involve an innovative approach to provide hands-on exposure to clinical and translational science research for a full-time period of 10 to 15 weeks. The proposed program should provide research experiences that are not available through formal NIH training mechanisms. These research experiences should not focus on specific diseases, but on what is common among them and the translational science process. For undergraduates, this can include hands-on exposure to research that enforces their interest in clinical and translational science, prepares them for graduate school matriculation, and/or careers in clinical and translational science and health professions in academia. For postdoctoral fellows and medical students, this can include extending their skills, experiences, and knowledge base in order to engage in clinical and translational science research activities. For junior faculty, research experiences can be used to enhance their research skills and knowledge base germane to clinical and translational science by working with faculty members at partnering institutions. While not explicitly mentioned here as examples, it is important to note that medical students and other health professional students are also eligible to participate. There has been some confusion about what constitutes a research experience. We want to direct you to the relevant text in the FOA, which lists some examples of research experiences that you could consider. These research experiences, for example, can center on the conduct of clinical and translational science research or entrepreneurship and commercialization. The R25 can also serve as a means for developing scientific talent at less research-intensive institutions by hosting research experiences for participants at these institutions, both students and faculty. Others have expressed interest in examples of research experiences beyond what is in the text of the FOA. NIH Reporter is a great resource. If you are interested in more detailed information on research experiences that have been funded under the R25 mechanism in the past by other institutes, you can also look up previously funded projects using NIH Reporter. Similar to the K-12 and T32 FOAs, all applications submitted as part of this new FOA are new applications. Follow the FOA and notice instructions in conjunction with the appropriate activity code instructions in the SF424 application guide. In the next few slides, I'll be discussing the R25 budget. The maximum budget is $100,000 in direct costs per year for a maximum project period of 5 years. The budget request for a given application needs to be adequately justified and reflect the actual needs of the proposed project. Yearly fluctuations in project workload should be reflected in the requested budget. It is important to emphasize here that the budget is the same irrespective of the hub size. In terms of personnel costs, individuals designing, directing, and implementing the research education program can request salary and fringe benefits appropriate for the person months devoted to the program. Total allowable personnel costs, including consultants, should be proportional to the number of participants in the program. For each participant, up to $3,500 in direct costs is allowed for personnel, including consultants, per year. All personnel and consultant costs must be itemized and adequately justified. Participant costs for the R25 can include round-trip travel to and from the R25 research experience site for non-local participants. Research education and related expenses are allowed for up to $1,000 per participant. Salary and fringe benefits must be consistent with the institutional salary policies for employees in similar positions. And a housing allowance can be requested by the program each year. I wanted to also talk a little bit about applications that would be considered non-responsive to this FOA. The following types of applications will be deemed non-responsive and will not be reviewed. New applications that are not submitted concurrently with the required UM1. Therefore, a CTSA hub that is not transitioning to the UM1 cannot apply for the R25. Applications that do not meet the criteria noted under the eligibility criteria in Section 3. Applications that do not submit all of the required attachments. And finally, resubmitted R25 applications that are not linked to a funded UM1. In addition, be sure to check the FOA for additional documents and attachments that are needed. The 3 documents and attachments I wanted to bring your attention to are the recruitment plan to enhance diversity, the evaluation plan, and the letters of support. If these requested documents and attachments are not included, the application will be considered incomplete and will not be reviewed. The recruitment plan to enhance diversity should include outreach strategies and activities designed to recruit prospective participants from diverse backgrounds. It should also describe the specific efforts to be undertaken by the program and how the proposed plan reflects past experiences in recruiting individuals from underrepresented groups. Renewal applications must include a detailed account of experiences in recruiting individuals from underrepresented groups during the previous funding period, including successful and unsuccessful recruitment strategies. Applications lacking a diversity recruitment plan will not be reviewed. The evaluation plan should be appropriate for an education program, not a research project, and may include, for example, surveys completed by participants and/or publicly available information about participants. A timeline for conducting the evaluation must be described. If this attachment is not included, the application will be considered incomplete and will not be reviewed. In the Letters of Support section, the application must provide a specific plan describing the partnership between the UM1 and any optional components. The application must describe the overarching goals of each component and the coordination, integration, synergy, and mutual reinforcement of resources between the components. Applicants should also include a description of the roles of any shared partners and/or collaborators. If this attachment is not included, the application will be considered incomplete and will be returned without review. Section 5 of the FOA describes the application review information. Similar to other funding mechanisms for research grants, there are 5 scored review criteria: significance, investigator, innovation, approach, and environment. The additional review criteria should also be familiar to those who have applied to NIH in the past. Please be sure to read the funding opportunity to obtain specific information related to this FOA under each scored review criteria and additional review criteria. Finally, I wanted to cover a few finer points for the additional review consideration section, which peer reviewers will separately evaluate after the overall score has been determined. These are rated as acceptable or unacceptable. In particular, I wanted to cover a finer point on instructions for the responsible conduct of research, and it is here where the text can create some confusion. Recall that this FOA is for short-term research experiences lasting between 10 to 15 weeks. Therefore, it is important to also examine the relative text associated with Notice 10-019, the section on Special Considerations by Type of Award, which reads, "The duration of such instruction within short-term institutional programs should be appropriate for the total duration of the program and should be justified in the application. This is an instance where online instruction could be appropriate." Should you have any additional questions, again, my name is Jamie Doyle. I'm the scientific contact for this R25. We also have a peer review contact, which is Dr. Carol Lambert, and Katie Matthews for any grants management related questions. All the questions related to this FOA are being routed to a common inbox. Thank you very much.